AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Trojan family, what's going on? Ryan Dowd here on the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. Let's just get right into it. The purge of this roster is truly beginning. We've seen guys enter the portal. I've done a video on each one. Make sure you're following our tracker or our thread over on our message board at LAFBnetwork.com. Link is in the description. We'll have everything updated there up to the minute so you can see everyone in this portal. But today, 3 more, and by the time I publish this, maybe more will be out there, and I'll have to jump back on here later after my daughter has like a Christmas recital here in just like 30 minutes. So I'm trying to crank this out, and if any more news hits, I'll be back on later tonight or tomorrow morning. But 3 more players have announced they were entering the portal, 2 of which I would say are pretty shocking and pretty surprising for the fan base, considering their potential, considering their age. So let's just get into it. We'll talk about the names, and I'll give some info that I know based on kind of what is going on behind the scenes, based on, you know, someone that I have spoken with. So first name to enter, this was like the real big shocker. True freshman linebacker Matai Tagoa'i. Sorry, I always say that wrong, but plans to enter. I'll talk more about it here in a little bit. Redshirt freshman defensive lineman Carlon Jones. I've been big on Jones. He was my actual player. He was my pick before the season to be kind of that sleeper under the radar guy to develop more. We saw it throughout the season. And then redshirt senior Anthony Beavers plans to hit the portal. So let's work backwards to the front, and then I'll give some more reasoning behind it all. And hopefully it'll actually, you know, calm some of you down, because I think there was a lot of shock when these first got announced, and rightfully so. Totally get that. So first off, Anthony Beavers, I'm assuming he's getting some sort of medical red shirt because he is a redshirt senior. So I believe he'd be out of eligibility, but potentially can get a medical red shirt and allow him one more year to go and get some more playing time. And, you know, unfortunately, I think Anthony Beavers is a true Trojan. I mean, born and raised in Los Angeles, super involved in the LA community. We know how he grew up going to a program called LA Best, which is, you know, for inner city kids, not, you know, just LA kids after school programs and helping with sports initiatives and whatnot. So he's been very involved in that. And he came up through the Snoop Football League. So just a true Trojan, and came in as a defensive back, moved to linebacker, put on weight, really just a team guy doing whatever the team asks. So really bummed that he couldn't stay healthy this year and see him on the field. But I do hope he gets another year of eligibility and can go actually get some reps and put on some tape and just enjoy maybe playing football and not have to end his career basically not playing because he was injured. So I think this is more of a, hey, I want to go and just play somewhere. And even with how up and down the linebacker position was for USC, you know, moving forward, he probably wouldn't have been in the plans for a starting spot next year. Don't mean that with any disrespect, but based on what we're about to talk about, that seems to be the case. So wish him nothing but the best. Unfortunate to see someone like that leave the locker room, but, you know, he'll land on his feet, certainly. Carlon Jones, again, this is why I think this one is most surprising is because he increased his reps throughout the season. So, you know, didn't play it all last year, redshirted, obviously big body, 315 pounds, defensive tackle out of Texas, was a top 20 defensive lineman in that 2024 class. And so came into this year and you saw kind of how young the room was, but how deep it was. And I thought, hey, this is a guy that could potentially kind of crack into it and carve a rollout for himself in some way. And we saw as the year go on, he did get more reps, and talked to Coach Lynn about it in practice and said, yeah, he's progressing, developing in practice. And that's how we do things. When we trust guys in practice, they're going to start to get more reps in game times. So we saw that happen. And, you know, for whatever reason, now he is entering the portal, which I'll discuss more kind of at the end. But unfortunately, I do think he has a lot of potential, and wherever he lands, I think he can definitely be an impact player. We'll see if he ends up back in the state of Texas, in the Big Ten, or somewhere else altogether. Now, Matai Tagoa'i, yeah, this one definitely shocked a lot of people, I think, because one of the top recruits in last year's class, true freshman, I think he was third or fourth overall in the USC's 25 class. You saw he was one of the kind of early commits when a lot of guys were decommitting and NIL wasn't fully, figured out yet. Obviously, Bowden and his staff were not here yet. He stuck with the Trojans and, being more of a local kid. And then just when we saw him play, I mean, he was a big time special teams contributor. He got on the field as a linebacker slowly but surely as the season progressed. He played, quite a few third down reps in that UCLA game. They would put him out there in these kind of third and long situations. He played with like his hair on fire type of mentality and just had a real nose for the football. The big knock on him was size and just did not have that big linebacker body type that you expect, not just in college football, but for sure in the Big Ten. Now, could certainly put on more weight. He's 6'4" in height, so certainly has the height, but only 205 pounds. Could you see him put 10 to 15 pounds on? And if you do that, how much does that change his style of game? Because he is that speed linebacker, right? Like, I think he can run side to sideline. He can really crash towards the football. Just does that size work in the Big Ten? I personally kind of thought it would have, based on him entering the portal. Maybe not. Maybe we see him end up in like the Big 12 or one of these leagues that's, a little bit more fast-paced offenses and less of what the Big Ten does in terms of running the football. But just a surprise because of how young he was. Obviously, new strength and conditioning coach, Coach True, could have been with him all offseason and we could have seen that progress. But for whatever reason, that decided not to be the case. So two, I guess, points I'll give you guys on kind of why this kind of purge is happening, but B, kind of these players specifically. So overall, and there's going to be quite a bit few more players. So I just want everyone to kind of brace themselves. Like when you take a 35 person freshman class, that kind of tells you that the powers that be, whether it's the coaching staff or the front office, is like, hey, we need to kind of have a different roster turnover, different roster construction, because you can't just take on 35 and keep everyone you still have. Like there's going to be repercussions in that. And so we knew there was going to be a rather large amount of players leaving. I just don't know if we thought there would be as many it's still early, but this is now 2 true freshmen with Cordova and Matai. And then you add on, Carlon Jones, Braylon Conley. Those are both redshirt freshmen. So I don't think we knew there'd be this many like young cats getting in the portal. But as of the end of this season, so before these portal entries, because they're not official yet, 109 players on the roster. You add in these 35 freshman class coming in, you're at 144 players on your roster. Now, basic eligibility expirations and the guys we assume are going to the NFL draft, your Mekhi Lemons, your Bishop, that would be an eligibility, but the Kamari Ramsey, Jacoby Lane, the guys that could come back, but we kind of assume are going to the draft. You're looking at about 25 players, give or take. So that brings your roster down to 119. 105 scholarships are what you're going to have, right? So you want to bring that down. Plus, you're going to have some priority walk-ons and whatnot. So they've got to trim that roster still a good amount of spots. Plus, you're going to go bringing in some transfer portal players that you believe you need to upgrade your roster. So, I mean, you figure to get to 105, right, that's 14 going out without bringing any transfer portal guys in. So you probably are looking at, from that 14, probably another 20. So now you're at 34 players out. So you can potentially bring in kind of that 10 to 15 range and then have some wiggle room. So maybe some spring additions if you have any more roster scholarships to give out or whatever. So it's going to be a rather large, exodus, 30 or so. And we're at 9 right now. So that's one way. So think about it like that. Like it's simple numbers. Like there's going to be roster numbers. 2, when you look at the positions, and let's start with Carlon Jones now on the defensive line. So you look at the defensive tackle spot, and you got Jamal Jarrett. And again, we don't know right at this moment who else will be leaving. There may still be more. But you look at right now, Jamal Jarrett, Jakeem Stewart, got to be a mainstay. Devin Tompkins, we'll see. He does have another year of eligibility, so we'll see if he's moving on, if he's entering the portal, if he'll be back. Cash Almo, on a depth piece. We know Floyd Boucard should be a guy that they're anticipating being around and being a part of this moving forward. Jade Abasiri, seems like they're real high on him. And then Cash Jacobson was a true freshman. And then you have, obviously, all the freshman class, Jamian Winfield, Tom, etc. coming in. So you do have numbers in your roster right now, plus if you were able to go get 2 impact defensive tackles that can potentially start right off the bat. So I don't have a full explanation as to why. I thought Carlon Jones, based on the amount of playing time we saw him increase throughout the year, that he was in the plans. But I don't think that is clearly the case. And then when you look at linebacker, this is another interesting one. They got Tamir Robinson, who they got in the portal last year. He was actually one of the guys that Chad Bowden was instrumental in bringing because he was in that spring portal class. Didn't see him much this year, but maybe they do like his frame, 6'3", 230, so has that bigger build. We didn't see him a lot, but we'll see that development. Desmond Stevens and Jaden Walker, obviously, as of now, are looking like your 2 starting linebackers. Fans may not want to hear that. That's what it looks like right now. Elijah Newby, they kept talking a lot about, getting good reviews. We didn't see him at all. But again, body size, 6'3", 235, fits the build a little better. And then AJ Tuateli was that late addition freshman in the spring class who got some, under the radar reviews in fall camp, and 6'2", 215. So again, a little bit more weight. We'll see what he is now at the end of the year, and we'll see what his prospects looks like as of now. Again, not being in the portal at the moment. So those are what you're looking at. And then obviously Talanoa Ely coming in. You got Taylor coming in, and you got Sean Scott coming in. So you got your 3 backers in the 25 class or 26 class. And then seeing who enters the portal. I know the kid from North Carolina who's a SoCal kid. Everyone's kind of linking him to USC. So they'll certainly add 1 or 2. So the only thing I can think of with Matai is just the size thing. That's all I can think of. It's just like, you know what? We love the way you play, but just the size is not going to work in the Big Ten. We played a lot better this year, but we still got pushed around too much in the running game. And so we just need bigger body linebackers. I can say this, based on what I've heard, and I think I've seen some other reporting out there. So not just me, but I've spoken to someone. As of now, pretty much, I think everyone that you are hearing going into the portal is, I don't want to say this in a harsh way, but is USC's decision, like is their roster decisions and evaluations. We knew after the year, there was the exit interviews, there was all the evaluation, there was going to be some tough conversations. Bowden wasn't here. Bowden and his staff wasn't here for last year's roster construction leading into the offseason, so things were going to be done a little bit differently potentially. And so all of these guys that have entered, I think, based on what I've heard and based on what other people have saying, this is actually like planned. There hasn't been a player that has said like, I'm done with SC, I'm out. It's been more, and maybe I'm not saying it wasn't mutual. Maybe the player did was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to go anyway. So that certainly could be the case, but there wasn't a shock to USC. I'll say that. Like there wasn't some player all of a sudden coming in and saying, hey, I'm out. And USC was like surprised by that. It was more the staff kind of in their evaluation saying, hey, we're going to go in a different direction. You should look for another opportunity elsewhere. And there's going to be a lot more of that. So don't get too attached yet. We knew this was coming with the 35-person class was coming in. We knew this was coming just with the change of philosophy a little bit in this class. So these names sound surprising today for sure, but they actually seem like they were planned or they were part of the new strategy and not players saying, I'm out, peace. So again, doesn't mean it couldn't have been a little bit mutual, but it was kind of USC's decision in their roster building to move in this direction. So there's going to be more. I'll be back for all of it for you guys. Drop any questions you have. I'll try to answer anything I can. Are you shocked? Are you surprised? Are you bummed? Are you mad? Are you hurt? Let us know. Appreciate you as always. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and keep it right here for sure for all your transfer portal news, all your recruiting news, and just everything you need with USC. Appreciate you, family. As always, fight on. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat that you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose J.D. Maiava in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10, so now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also, right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB, and now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family, and when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.